Slava Isusa Christus, Slava Navika, glory be to Jesus Christ, glory be forever. This is Father Basil again, doing another podcast on this Sunday, and yesterday was my birthday, and had a nice celebration with my family, and also one of my parishes. They gave me a nice meal after today on Sunday. So thank you for that. And just preparing for another week before Christmas, of course, the great celebration of the Nativity of Jesus. And before Christmas, I like to finish off a couple of these sessions that I had talking about the Beatitudes. So a few days ago, I was talking about the first of the Beatitudes. So we started with, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." Then we said, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are they who hunger and thirst for righteousness, so they shall be satisfied." And then the last one we did was, "Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy." And if you want to listen to what I talked about those different aspects of the Beatitudes, they're in my podcasts in the last week or so you can listen to those other podcasts if you so desire. But today, I want to talk about the next part of it. "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God." So, what does it mean to be pure in heart? Do we like purity and honesty? What is our motives in our life? What motivates us? That's a good way of looking at this part of the Beatitudes. Is it God that motivates us? Or is it not God that motivates us? Because if it's not God that's motivating us in our life, that means we are probably not pure in heart. That we are doing things for selfish reasons. That we are doing things from the devil's temptations. So that's the most important thing. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. We all have things in our life that we want to change, that we're not proud of, right? Our sinful actions that we have done in the past could be addictions. It could be our selfish actions that we have done, our mean words that we've said to other people. Maybe we have hurt other people through our actions, through our just pure selfishness. Because every time we do something that is not worthy of God's call for us, every time we do something that's unholy, we are doing a selfish action. Anything that's not of God is selfish. Anything that does not come from God is unholy. All right? So, we know the commandments, and many months ago I did sessions, podcasts about the commandments, and again, go back into my list of podcasts I've done, and I've talked about every commandment. And Obviously, when we break the commandments, when we are not listening to God's will in our life, we are sinning against God, and that makes our heart impure. That makes our soul impure. So again, what does it mean to be pure in heart? Well, yeah, it means following the commandments, but it also means thinking about our actions in God's eyes. So the best way to explain this is when we make a decision in life, when we are doing something in our everyday life, are we doing it for the right reasons? Are we doing it to get some, some prideful satisfaction, some selfish reasons? Or are we doing it to serve God and to serve others, right? So, in our everyday life, we do a lot of things. We have to work to support our families. We have to, we have to do things that we don't always like to do, right? That make us uncomfortable. We have to serve one another all the time, and even in our work, there's going to be times in our whatever work we do where we're not always going to be, it's not always going to be enjoyable, right? Our work is not always going to be enjoyable, especially if we're doing something for someone else and not getting the rewards from it, right? So when we are helping someone in our work, when we are doing something where we don't get rewarded, that is, we think that we are not going to be happy from that because we don't get any rewards. But in actuality, by being selfless, not selfish, but selfless, and by doing something for someone else, that is the biggest reward we can get, because we are doing it not for our selfish purposes, but doing it because we love God, doing it because we love the people around us, doing it because we know it is the right thing to do, right? So it's basically, every decision that we make has to come from God. Every decision that we make has to be based on God's will for our life. And that's the number one thing to remember. If we're not doing it for God, then we shouldn't be doing it at all, right? If we're not doing it to help our relationship with God and with each other, then why are we doing it in the first place? And this is the truth. This is the absolute truth. It's so hard to know sometimes what the right decision to do is, because in our world today, we have been trained to ignore the needs of others. We have been trained to only think of ourselves before anyone else. And to go beyond our comfort zone, to go beyond, what we've always done that makes us comfortable is hard for everyone, especially in our spiritual life. When I go to new parishes, when I'm placed in a new area, and I try to teach them different prayer services, I try to teach the people, new prayers, and it makes them uncomfortable because they've never done it before. They've only liked to do what they've always done. And that's the same thing in our spiritual life. We don't want to go beyond our comfort zone. We don't want to go beyond what we've always done. And sometimes that's to our detriment. And it could be the same in our relationships too. When marriages are in a difficult time, I think every marriage goes through difficult times, but some marriages go through very difficult times. And unfortunately, some marriages don't last. And the problem I see in those marriages that don't last is that the couple is selfish for one another. They only think about themselves. They don't think about the other person. They're not thinking about the needs of the other. They're only thinking about their own needs, their own selfishness. And, oh boy, that can lead to so many difficulties in marriage. If you don't do things together, if you don't have similar, goals, if you don't have similar ways of solving problems, of problem solving, if you don't have similar likes and interests, boy, your marriage is going to be hard. Yeah, it's going to be like that. But, no marriage marriage cannot exist without God in it. If God doesn't exist in the marriage, it's going to be pretty rough. It's going to be pretty rough. So anyways, when we are pure in heart, when we do things for God, it makes everything in our life easier because we become pure of heart. We become selfless. That's really our goal in life, is to become selfless, to do things for others without expecting anything in return, to always pray for those even who are our enemies, who hate us. Pray for those who hate us. Pray for those who don't like us. We need to pray constantly for those people, and that's what being selfless means. Not selfish, selfless. Doing things for others without expecting anything in return. That's hard for us because we live in a society where we always want to be rewarded. We always want to get rewards for what we do. And that's not necessarily what Jesus wants us to do. He doesn't teach us that we need rewards all the time. He teaches us that we need to sacrifice. We need to sacrifice for one another. Okay? So, pure in heart. Are our actions pure? Are our actions, selfless? Are our actions trying to help others in this world? Or are our actions only for our selfish pride, that we want to get pleasure, our own selfish pleasure. And unfortunately, when we have addictions, that's what happens. We want to get that selfish pleasure, whether it's sexual addictions, alcoholism, drug addictions. Our brain tricks us into saying that we need to do this to be happy. Our brain is basically is rewired in a bad way. That's what addictions are, because we can only be happy by drinking or by using drugs or by having sex or by spending money, whatever our addictions are. And this is not from God. It's not from God at all. So our actions have to be pure. Our actions have to be selfless, not selfish. God bless you today. Have a great day.